So we've got a plow day coming up, and usually I'm going to be the one that springs to one of my favorite wheel horses like Putt Putt, or I've really had a fun time plowing with Jackie the lever steer and this, I don't know what that is, 14-inch plow, this big old massive one from an old John Deere. I cut 28 inches out of that beam. And there's always the senior with the 10-inch plow. We got Chloe with a 10-inch plow. We got the 520XI with a 10-inch plow. These are all, oh, that's a soft tire. These are all real great plow mules, for sure. I think it's time to play with the other pond, with the old Speedex 1630. This impressed me like crazy. There's no added weight to it, but when I was skidding logs, I was pulling almost two logs with this that I couldn't pull at all with one of my wheel horses. And so, you know, it is what it is. I think it's time to pull a 10-inch Brinly with the old Speedex. Not that long ago, I came through and I greased the chain on that drive hub. I greased all of the greasable fittings that I could find for the steering and any other moving components. And, you know, it's just something that's fun to play with, something different. It looks like I'm gonna be pretty comfy on that spring seat all day long. Big, high ground clearance. All kinds of visibility. I think this is gonna end up being a really sweet plow tractor. I stuck a 1/2-inch drill bit through this top plate and into the bottom one the other day, and I've been just kind of slowly working on this. But now I've got a 11/16 drill bit. I've got some WD-40, and I'm just trying to slowly get through this bottom plate so I can drop a 5/8-inch bolt through. Ooh, I'm almost there. Almost through that bottom. Yeehaw. Now I have a real big step bit. I'm going to just kiss the top and bottom of this plate, more or less as a deburring method. Not enough to really take any materials away, but enough to make a difference. Oh, that's awesome. I love my shins, and so do plows, apparently. Oh. So there's that. I don't know how that's gonna work with a lot of pivot there. This plow has this screw here, this set screw, and it's kind of a jam bolt, if you will. But this applies pressure to this landslide, or frog, I believe it's called. And this is what is supposed to steer a plow. So this should not be an issue. As long as, while I'm straight, my line from this edge of the plow, this corner, up to the front tire while it's not flat. I need to fix that. As long as that's in line and this has enough pressure on it to be pushing against the ground that's cut, the new furrow, it should track all by itself. So I'm probably gonna need to do some adjusting on this because I'm sure this was on, I think it was a John Deere garden tractor with 23-inch tires. So it's hard to say, but I do believe with this long drawbar on this Speedex 1630 that this is gonna be a pretty sweet plow tractor. Along with the fact that it's so long, it's got big tires, it should have plenty of front weight with that 16 horse Briggs. I'm looking forward to this. This should be a pretty easy running plow tractor. I popped this right front tire off and broke the bead and put some tire mounting paste all around both sides. I had a bead leak, and I've seen where like just grease or other lubricant applicators could seal that. So I just cleaned off that rubber best I could, cleaned off the wheel. I inflated this to 50 PSI, which I know is pretty high for a garden tractor, but these are 60 PSI tires. So if anything, it'll just make my steering just that much nicer. It's been probably 6 weeks since I've driven this tractor, and I noticed that that one's soft over there now too. So I'm going to just do the same to both sides. I'm gonna keep them at 50 PSI, set it back on the ground and check it in a day. So I'm just about to put some fuel in this thing, and I have noticed on occasion that I have a little stumble, a hitch in my giddy up. Check this out. There's a little piece of foil floating around, and that could easily, potentially, partially block my fuel. Well, this is a non-invasive surgery method that I have used in the past for pulling non-magnetic items out of hard-to-reach places. Usually I use super glue, but today I'm using some Permatex fast-drying form-a-gasket sealant. Why? Because it was the first thing I found that I think might be sticky. I could probably even use a little dab of grease, if I'm being honest with myself. That tank's deeper than I thought it was. But it works. Check it out. No more floaties in the tank. Thanks, foil, for being present. Wipe off the excess. Put a splash of fuel in this beast. Sometimes my plug gets stuck. That sounds like enough for a test and tune. I never know. The next thing I know, I'm overflowing, you know? Put that right where I can lose it later. My elbow tells me to remember that this tractor don't care about my elbow, neither does this fender. So while I'm starting, I always make sure I'm in neutral, and I always make sure that this little implement lift lever jigger is facing backwards. One, two. This is an easy starting Briggs & Stratton. 16 horsepower, big thumper single. Now remember, this is merely test and tuning. This is a pretty rocky, rough section of ground. We did just receive like maybe an inch, inch and a half of rain. So I'm gonna just have to get me a better hitch pin, something with an actual pin on the bottom. That's a nope, a to-do. But I'm gonna just throw this thing down, and maybe in seconds we have got to get that coulter wheel off. So, let's see here. What's our list of things to do before plow day? I did find out that this front end's pretty light when we got a plow on the back. So, I don't know what I can do to add weight and still be able to open the hood. We'll see about that. We'll figure something out. Maybe I'll bolt some lead to this front axle. I don't know. I think I might also have some front wheel weights I can throw on. So front weight, lose the coulter wheel. That thing's terrible. I might actually need a bungee strap for this hood. I don't know if you saw or not, but I hit enough bumps that this whole thing just folded forward in the field. That was funny. I think I'm ready for the plow day. It's going to be test and tune when we get there. The soil conditions are always different from field to field, from spot in a field to spot in a field. So that's that. I'm going to need to get somewhere for tools to stay. Some type of a tool holder or a clip, but this 3/4 inch wrench is just too small to fit over any shaft that's sticking up that I won't lose it. So I need to get maybe like a carabiner or some type of a clip for my 3/4 inch wrench. Maybe add a 15/16 because those are always helpful in a plow field. And I guess we'll call it good at that point. Just for grins and giggles, I'm going to just loosen this and see if this big old clump of trash falls off into my garage. Yeah, maybe it wasn't quite that easy. But, oh, it's in there good. Now it wants to fall off. And now, I got a big mess to clean up. That was smart. I used a couple scraps and I cut up an old exhaust header for a bracket and welded this little sleeve in. I have a counterbalance weight that will be bolted to this 1.25 by 3 solid bar that will be bolted there and then drilled here, here, and here for pins to slide it forward, backward, and hold it in place. I ended up taking that coulter wheel off and building myself a little toolbar, and I gave myself a little counterbalance out of some scrap metal to keep that front end down. I think the old Speedex is ready. I got myself a little toolbar. It's all tuned up, the plow's ready to go. I got a little counterbalance, slides in and out of place. That's a solid 1.25 by 3 bar. And I'm pretty sure I'm ready to rip. Thanks for watching. We'll see you soon in a plow field.